time to go crazy and find links. All right. Let's try to get this done in 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Can we do it? Boom. Link pushed out. Website done. Load it, load it, load it. Perfect. Oops. We got a weed whacker going on. Weed whacker. Copy paste. More views. Hello, viewers. Hello. Post it. Boom. We are cruising. We might make it. We might make it in time. 1 minute left. Post it. And with 1 minute left, all the links are updated and posted. We are go for launch. Elon Musk couldn't get this. What's the matter, Tesla? That's unfair, but kind of funny at the same time. Yeah, at least funny for me. All right, 10 o'clock, live stream is up. Good morning, everyone. Let me do some minimizing here. Minimize, minimize, minimize. We're good. We are there. Good morning, everyone. Sorry for narrating. I was updating links, moving along. We look like we are in business. I want to welcome you guys to my live stream, Office Hours Show, episode 7. It goes live every Friday from 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock. Just a place to kind of hang out, say what's going on, what's up. Check in with all my students, check in with you guys out there that are watching. Of course, if you're watching this after the stream is over, you can always follow me through our social media accounts, my social media accounts right here, my website, MrBabbittsteach.com, and of course Instagram and things like that. I love it that you guys are here. Even if you don't throw comments in the chat room and stuff like that, it's nice to know that people are watching this. I've gotten some really good feedback over the last couple of days in regards to assignments and these live streams going on, which makes me happy that I'm not just doing this for nothing. But regardless, the idea of this show wasn't necessarily something that was mandatory. It just kind of came up teaching a digital multimedia course where students create their own content and then post it publicly. It was just something that I wanted to do to try to get a little bit more of I guess, my skills up to par and everything. So, here we are. Episode 7, if you will, I guess. Is this episode 7? Yeah, I think it is. So, Jake, how's it going, buddy? Just getting the comments rolling in right now. Good to see you. Um, yeah, so I'm going to take a couple minutes here in the beginning, usually to go over all the new assignments and address any comments or questions that came up in regards to past assignments as well. I know there's a lot of people out there that have been sending stuff. I noticed that a lot of people have been emailing me about uploading assignments and it not necessarily reflecting on their grades. So maybe without taking up too much time, I'll just jump into that right now. So without trying to sound preachy and lectury here, we've been asked to create 8 weeks worth of continued learning goals. The idea behind this was to create assignments for you guys that wasn't necessarily teaching new things, but just establishing the grounds and reviewing on things that we have already done. That's kind of hard for some subjects. I know there's obstacles in regards to the courses that I teach, but regardless, I created the 8 weeks worth of assignments, which I'll be kind of reviewing this week's assignment and talking a little bit about last week's. But we really didn't know, that is, all the teachers really didn't know how they were going to be received, let alone be presented in the first place. I've been working along with the Google Classroom model as well as my website to, in a routine manner, always update assignments weekly on Thursday afternoons, and then go into grading or evaluating and putting into the grade book on Friday mornings, Friday afternoons, during the show, during the stream, and trying to update grades and things like that, markings, evaluations, if you will. So in regards to when does my stuff get checked and is it ever going to be updated, the answer is yes. It's just going to take some time because obviously, it's taken some time for people to submit these assignments. I'm trying to stick to a routine, but like I've said in past episodes, I sometimes will get notifications at 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, of assignments rolling in. Matter of fact, this morning when I woke up, I had 29 notifications of past work that was submitted to me late. And of course, not only do I have to go back and evaluate that, but I need to give feedback to those students that might need to spend a little bit more time on that. So the short answer is, have I gotten to week 1? The answer is yes. I've got my grades right here. All my grades are updated. Now, in regards to putting it into MyStar and getting it there, not yet. I probably will hit that up as soon as this live stream is over at 11 o'clock and make sure and double check and go through everything. As I get more alerts, as I'm still getting alerts even right now of work coming in and people submitting stuff late. So all I ask for all my students out there is just a little bit of patience. I know we've been trying to have some patience with you guys in regards to when you get the assignments and how you go about starting them. All I'm asking is for a little patience on your guys' end. And look, if a couple days goes by and you still don't see the grade reflected or something being updated, there's no problem. Send me an email. Just try to be a little bit mindful of the tone of the email. I've gotten a few emails where the tone of the email comes off a little bit aggressive, like, why haven't you done this? And I have to take a step back myself and say, you don't really know where that person's at right now. You don't really know the tone. But when someone types something to me in all caps with exclamation points all over the place, it's a little concerning to me. So it doesn't really always come off all that good. Yeah. So let's address some of the work that people are getting behind on, whether it's my class or it's other classes. Before I go in and start to talk to you guys about this week's assignment, um, it's our policy right now that next week, week 8, is going to serve as a catch-up week. Basically, there aren't going to be any new assignments, from my understanding, on week 8 from any teachers. Week 8 is going to serve as sort of a catch-up process. It's probably a good idea for those of you guys that are trying to catch up to communicate with those teachers before the end of week 8. If you've got any questions on assignments that have come out, or any things that you might be getting kind of tripped up on, because I can only imagine that at the end of week 8, there's going to be a flood of stuff coming through, and we're all going to be frantically trying to make sure that feedback can get pushed back to students the way that it needs to. Now, in regards to my class, that was kind of always the original plan, mainly because week 1 I had a very low communicating with my students during week 1 when this all started to get rolled out was really, really tough, next to impossible. I think I had like I don't know, 5% of my students actually get in contact with me. We're not even talking about submitting work. We're talking about like spotty 3 or 4 students per course that I teach actually get in contact with me. So I had always kind of originally planned for week 8 to be a makeup week. So the nice thing is, where we stand right now in week 7, this is actually going to be the last week that you guys get coursework assigned to you that you need to go out and work on. Next week, you'll have an opportunity to kind of catch up and make up some of those things. All I urge you guys, at least for me, as I kick some cameras here, is communicate with me in a timely manner. And I don't mean like right away, immediately, right now. I mean at a time that is sufficient for you, but also not at a time where the average person is sleeping. Like I said, I woke up to 29 notifications this morning, and I could barely get through half of them after I woke up and started to get ready for the day. So I still have a little bit of work in regards to communicating back, and it does take some time here. And everybody in the news, everybody on TV says, oh, we're all in this together, and it's kind of hard to think of it that way, but we are. So I think a lot of teachers are being really, really understanding, and I hope you guys are helping out with that too. I know it's been tough for everybody, but we are in the process of winding this stuff down, and that's why I think it's in everybody's best interest, teachers and students' best interest, to kind of approach this with just kind of an open mind, and try to relax a little bit, and understand that we're all looking out for each other and trying to set up everybody for success. So hopefully that kind of answers some of your guys' questions here in regards to where we're at. Now, usually in most of my streams, I like to take the first couple of minutes to start explaining the new week's assignments, and then I kind of go back to last week and answer some questions. I didn't get too many questions on week 6's assignment from both my intro drawing classes and my digital multimedia courses, so I really won't take too much time up with that. But now that I've got some viewers here, I figure I'll jump right into week 7 and kind of give you guys a little bit of a breakdown. So if you are watching this at a later date, you don't have to make it through a whole hour's worth of this TV show or this live stream. So let's start with Intro to Art. Intro to Art and Drawing. You guys are going to be doing a good old-fashioned, let me see if I can find the attachment here. I probably should have had this up, and I got really excited that all of my stuff was posted, and I never, ever, ever worried about getting my attachments ready for a dual screen here. So bear with me, guys. Intro to Art and Intro to Art and Drawing. You guys are going to be doing a good old-fashioned shape challenge. That's right, a good old-fashioned shape challenge. For those of you guys that are tuning in, or you're not in either of those classes, let me kind of explain what the shape challenge is for you. Basically, the shape challenge is taking an oblong shape. I've kind of just gesture drew out some of them and turning them into something. There are some rules to these challenges. You can't go and change the way the shape originally looks. You're supposed to keep all of the designs on the inside of the figure. However, I think sometimes it's a little bit easier to maybe break up some of the edges. I drew these just simply moving my pencil around on a piece of paper, so there really wasn't a rhyme or reason, and I try to kind of as you can see with the shapes, do some more organic curvy shapes and then some more angular pointed shapes. There was absolutely no rhyme or reason with any of these. It was just me kind of just drawing shapes. Now, one thing that I want to talk to you guys about with this assignment is that you guys take a look at a couple of the requirements here. So I've gotten some feedback on this. My goal was to make this assignment, since it's technically going to be the last assignment, make this be an assignment where you guys really, try your best to create a finished piece of art, something that had all of the check boxes marked off on it. And that's kind of hard with the given circumstances that we're in right now and where we left off with our course. So the requirements that I have with this are really simple. I just want you guys to outline in a black ink or marker, so Sharpie or ink pen will be fine with that, and then your drawing must be fully colored. And you can color any way you want using any materials, crayons, colored pencils, marker, watercolor, chalk pastel, whatever you guys need. It needs to be fully colored to get full credit on it. So just a couple things for you guys to be thinking about with that. With that assignment, I think it's pretty straightforward. If you've been in my class before, we've done shape challenges for sketchbook challenges in the past, so nothing really changes here, but the goal is making sure that you guys, look, I guess making sure that you guys make a note as to what you need to do, or your responsibilities in regards to the, the project itself or the assignment. Yeah, I like I said, I didn't necessarily have anything in mind when I was drawing shapes. A couple of them I did erase, but I found we used to play a game in elementary school called Artist, where you would take a letter or a number and try to develop it into a picture. I think there's probably a lot of old school people out there that remember this game. Anyways, it's really interesting how when I'm not thinking about what it is I'm doing, and I'm just kind of doodling, I guess you could say, scribbling around, some of those shapes, some of those designs end up becoming things that I used to draw a lot of. So yeah, I'm not a bit surprised that some people see Homer Simpson, and I wasn't trying to go for it, but yeah, it ends up happening like that a lot, and it's just kind of strange that way. So yeah. Um, so let's take a look at digital multimedia. Sorry to make a quick shift like that, but I was taking a look at some comments. I want to make sure that I was addressing everything there. Let's take a look at week 7, Jake. So digital multimedia week 7. This is kind of a big thing for you guys. Again, I know I've been saying that on every week, but this is a portion that we didn't necessarily get a chance to experience in class because we were asked to leave school before we even got to this. But the digital multimedia curriculum during the second semester involves you guys getting into small work groups and creating content, which means multiple people will be assuming different roles, different responsibilities to create that content. And your guys' grade will be based not only on how well the content is received by the public, how well people watch the video and go in and I guess stay tuned to it, but also how well your production value is, how well your stories are put together. And usually every year, at least in one group, there's a huge falling out between people that were put in the group. See, I let you guys create your own groups, which might not necessarily be, I had to do a little adjustment there. I was falling off my chair. It might not be the best way to do this, but the last thing that I want to do is be held responsible for the reason why people aren't turning in assignments or content isn't coming out the right way is because we can't agree with ourselves. So I allow you guys as students to get yourselves into your own work groups. But when it comes down to rules and regulations and responsibilities, I wash my hands of that, and I leave you guys in charge. And as you guys, those of you in my advanced class know that that can be a really sticky situation because in the beginning you put yourselves with your friends or people that you feel comfortable with. I have a lot of people that sometimes take advantage of the so-called smart student and they want to go pair up with that person because they know it's easier to pass all the work off to them. And by the end of the semester, there's people butting heads. There's groups that are constantly at war with each other. I don't like their ideas. They never hold up their end of the bargain. I'm doing all these different jobs and they're not doing anything. It's not fair. It's not fair. And look, I understand that because I used to hate group work myself. I used to hate group work when it was in high school. I hated it when I moved into college and in my master's degree because it's always the same. Whether you're in school or you're working in the professional sector or whatever it is, when you're asked to work with other people, there's a good probability that there's going to be someone who's not pulling their weight, somebody who's not doing what it is they're supposed to be doing, or shirking their responsibilities, or not working up to your standard. And that is really, really tough to deal with when, a lot's on the line. In this case, a grade, but, in other cases, it could be money, or it could be a raise, or it could be the actual job that you guys are trying to perform. So I understand that totally. But one thing is to make sure is whenever you guys get into a group, I think it's really important to establish a set of guidelines and goals, responsibilities, boundaries, who's going to do what and when that needs to happen. And I think a lot of times in my groups, people don't think that that's necessary. We're all friends. It's not a big deal. Who cares? So, they kind of forget about that until it's, too late. We're in May and, a few assignments haven't gone too well. They haven't gotten, the views they thought they were going to get. They haven't been able to upload stuff that they thought they were going to upload. And they're looking at me to try to either bail them out or to iron out all the issues, and I simply can't do that because I didn't put you guys in your groups. So for week 7's assignment, you guys are basically going to come up with a group work contract. Now this is all hypothetical because obviously we aren't in school right now and you can't get into groups. So I totally understand that. For anybody who's watching this or reading the assignment saying, wait a minute, so I need to partner up with someone? No, that's not what the assignment's about. Actually, what I'm asking you guys to do is imagine that you are in the course, and you are going to partner up with a couple people. What type of boundaries or what types of rules would you like to work into a contract so as everybody in that group is held accountable for doing something, for fulfilling a responsibility? What happens when they don't deliver on that responsibility? How many strikes do they have? How many times are you going to listen to excuses before it's time for them to move on to do their own work? So I want you guys to take an opportunity to create your own working contract. Now, in Google Classroom, I didn't set this up so that you guys had nothing to build off of. I kind of gave you a little bit of a template with questions sort of to answer, but really they're there for you to ask yourself, well, what would I want to have, or what would I want to be held accountable for, and what do I think is fair for other people to be held accountable for? So that's really what this assignment is all about. And I think this is going to be a fun one because, there aren't any right or wrong answers. The only wrong answer is just not doing it. But in regards to right answers, everything goes. I just want you guys to think about what it means to be held accountable for. What do you want to make sure people that work with you are going to be held accountable for? So, yeah, those are the assignments for week 7. And like I previously said, week 8 is going to be a catch-up day. So if you didn't have an opportunity, I'm sorry, not a catch-up day, a catch-up week. If you didn't get an opportunity to go out and finish a certain week, or you're still kind of behind playing catch-up, the good news is you've got a week coming up where you've got that opportunity to come. Now, one thing that I think is really important here, I'm going to continue to do my office hours live stream on Fridays for the next couple of weeks, even though we're not assigning new work after this week. But there's a big, huge next big step coming after week 8, and that is the grading procedures for the week. And we've already gotten some information from our administrators at our school. We've already had some staff meetings about this. We've talked about this. Teachers will be getting in contact with students who fulfilled all 8 assignments, or all 8 weeks worth of assignments, and asking them whether or not they want to take their marking period 3 grade, or they want to take the new grade of passing as the semester 2 final grade. The important thing to understand here, and I know that this is going to cause, I think there's going to be some misunderstanding. I think there's going to be a ton of questions because people just don't get it. But the important thing here is you have to have completed all 8 assignments. If you only completed one assignment or you only completed 7 assignments, you're not going to get contacted by me or any other teacher as to whether or not you want to get that passing grade or still keep your marking period 3 grade. You have to have all 7 of them. I'm sorry, yeah, all 7, all 8 of them completed. I'm mixing my words, and that could be confusing as well. But basically, all the work has to be complete. If you miss any weeks, you won't get communicated with, and you will forfeit the choice of choosing either a passing grade or your marking period 3 grade. And I think actually one of the comments that came up was, well, why can't we just go back to our marking period 3 grade even if we didn't do anything? And that's because that's not what the contract or what our agreement was that was sent to the county and then communicated to the state. Um, I again, as a teacher, my hands are kind of out of this one. I didn't create the rules. I'm just going based on the district's guidelines here. And I think that that's going to be one of those areas where students have some questions and things like that. So over the course of this upcoming week that we're going to be working through assignment number 7, and then the following week, week number 8, I think it's a really good opportunity for any of you guys that are confused, any of you guys that don't really know what's at stake here, to reach out to your instructors, reach out to your teachers, reach out to me, and communicate as to whether or not everything is done that you need to have done, what's going to happen here, what happens with my stuff. As you guys can see on my ticker down there, assignments being due June 5th is just the same routine that we've been doing every week. So I'm going to try to make sure that I can get my grades done in a timely manner. But like I answered earlier in the live stream, backlog, in my opinion, isn't the right word because I don't know. To me, it sends the connotation that I didn't do something. But there are definitely a lot of assignments that are now flying in 20 days late, 25 days late, and playing catch up on my end is happening along with grading current work that's coming in. So I think a lot of teachers are going to be dealing with some stress here in making sure everything is up to date. And I just, urge you guys to be checking in. And look, if you got questions, communicate those questions appropriately to me, through me, and I'll always try to give you guys feedback back. So that's a little bit more of a long-winded intro or update to what I've been doing. But regardless, here we are, 27 minutes into the live stream. I will continue to keep this stream going for the next half hour. If people tune in, if people are there, drop comments. I'd love to hear back from you guys. Obviously, you guys can see that the comments go live. So if you don't have something that you want other people to see, it might be a good idea to just send an email to me. Again, you guys got all my social media information and my website there, which I used to update daily, just with things that we're doing in class. But because we're not in class anymore, I kind of find it a little redundant. I'm just updating it weekly with a link to the live stream and things like that. So communicate, reach out to me. I'm here for you guys, and I want to make sure that you guys have an opportunity to be as successful as possible here. So yeah. I hope things are going good for you guys, or at least as good as they can be. Here we sit at the end of May. Things are starting to loosen up. I guess a little bit of loosen up is the right term. It's still a little concerning. I mean, I won't lie to you guys. This week we really didn't do much. Kind of stuck around the house. Again, walks and things like that. But not much else, going around, going to places and things like that. Next week, I think we'll probably jump out there. Got to do a little bit of grocery shopping, run a few errands here and there. So I really don't know what to expect around, but I know a lot of people are moving around. And I mean, I'd be lying to you guys if I did say I was a little anxious here as to what possibly could happen with a second flare up. I'm also starting to look down the line here to school opening up. I know lots of schools have already started kind of talking about their plans. I know there's other states that have floated plans out there, and nothing really has been nailed down, at least with our district, with our schools. But one thing that I can kind of at least, and I think this is just common knowledge. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here. I gotta take a little sip here. Talking for a half an hour is tough. One thing that I do see happening is it seems like many schools are establishing a three-phase plan. And what I mean by that is they're at least acknowledging the fact that, going back to school could look at least three different ways different. One of those ways is still continuously all remotely like this, where, we teach virtually through live streams or Zoom hangouts, Google Meet meetings, post lessons to digital classrooms or learning facilities and things like that. And obviously, there's some pros and cons about that. I think all teachers and even students really want to get back to that FaceTime teaching, having people in front of you and that firsthand learning experience. But that also raises the concern with how would you be able to manipulate. Phase two sounds like it's sort of a hybrid between coming to school all the time and doing some at-home learning, some virtual learning. Now, I don't know really how that is going to go down. I don't know how that all gets worked out. I don't know, in classes like I teach, what that means to the curriculum just yet. Over the past few weeks, I have started to adapt my curriculum a little bit more to just being all virtual online. And it's a bit different than what I've been doing here. I mean, what I've been doing over the past 8 weeks or 7 weeks has just kind of been going back to past lessons and repeating that. But with the start of a brand new school year, there hasn't been any established learning yet taking place. So that's a little bit harder to do. And I've kind of had to alter some lessons with that. So, I've kind of been trying to work that out and looking at what that's going to look like. Obviously, the last phase, I think the phase where everybody wishes it could go back to is back to normal. Everybody returns back to school. Obviously, some things will change up. Like, for example, I didn't think about this, but like last week when I went to a grocery store, they have little arrows directing you which way traffic is supposed to go. And I don't even know if that would be something that would work really in our buildings and things like that. But, there would be a little bit of a change. And that those are ideas that are still being floated out there. I'm nervous because it is so different, but I understand exactly where we're at, and some of these things need to get addressed. So we'll try to adapt as best as possible. And to the courses that we offer. And things like that. I don't really know what a lot of this stuff means. So, yeah, that's where we're at for future stuff. I think that's been another one of the reasons why we really haven't been doing much, is just kind of sitting around the house. Mainly because we've had to try to figure out, well, what's coming up next and how are we going to end the current school year while looking at the future school years coming up. And not to mention we have two little ones here. My son is still going through his curriculum and stuff like that. So we've kind of had our hands full, doing that stuff. Oh, excuse me. I guess in other news, I was really excited about this. A few weeks ago, I started working on some trading cards live, which I still have. Haven't been able to work through all of them. But I was doing live streams, and I was just kind of practicing some of my skills because I've usually just worked digitally. It's a lot easier. It's a lot quicker for me in regards to materials, workflow. I can just kind of push it out there real quick, and go from a sketch idea to a finished or somewhat finished piece of art rather quickly. And I don't have to worry about a huge arrangement of materials and tools like that. But when I was doing these sketch cards with traditional materials, pencils, markers, Copics, watercolors, and things like that, I got a lot of good feedback, a lot of positive feedback about that, and I started to look at some of the work that I have, and you know, it's been a long time since I did traditional artwork, since I was actually doing, you know, physical artwork. So I went out and I tried to research different sketchbooks that kind of cater to the materials that I like. This one is the brand is hold on, let me try to find it. This one actually I found on Amazon through some references, you know, through other websites and stuff like that. Man, now I'm going to. There's no identification on it other than the little logo. It's a brand that starts with an H. I'll try to look this up as I stream and try to talk to you guys at the same time. But I I was, you know, just kind of doing some research and stuff like that, and this book, this brand popped up as being a fairly reliable brand. Let me see. Oh, here it is. Ohu. Ohu. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Can I get that up there? Yeah. Let me here. I'll share my screen with you guys. I think maybe I'll share my screen. Maybe I'm lying. There we go. Yeah. Ohu. Ohu Marker Pads Art Sketchbook. There's two sizes to this. I decided to go with the square size because obviously one of the things that I do is post to my Instagram accounts. So this 8.3 by 8.3 is, you know, square size. But what I thought was probably the most beneficial or the most exciting to this was the 120-pound weight to the paper. And I've got to tell you, I'm always skeptical when I see at least online descriptions to paperweight because they use some really interesting terms when trying to describe it. They'll say heavyweight or marker paper, but when you come to find out, it's a lot thinner than normal. 120 pound is a reasonable weight. This one thing that I noticed with marker paper is usually marker paper has a really low, if any, tooth to it, meaning texture to the paper. And this brand, this Ohu brand, is a very smooth surface, so it takes to the markers that I'm using really well. And being that it is close to 120, if not 120 pounds, there is virtually zero bleed through. And what I mean by that is obviously the wet media of the markers does transfer or soak through the paper. But like, for example, here, I don't know if this is going to come through. This is, you probably have seen it on my social media. This is an image that I was working pretty hard through the first part of this week. And it has bled through a little bit to the back. Maybe let me see if I can turn my overhead camera on and it'll show you guys a little bit better here. Yeah, so here is where here we are. Here is an overhead shot. Zoom out a little bit. Can we zoom? There we are. An overhead shot. And I've worked this one pretty well with the marker and actually added a little bit of watercolor to this too. So I really have saturated the paper, and it has not really gone through to the next side all that much. I mean, it has bled through a little bit in areas. But one thing that I thought was really interesting, and I'm assuming that's what this is for, there's this thin, almost like vellum. If you're an artist, you know what vellum is, like a tracing paper, a plastic see-through paper, marker paper. But this is almost a little bit more rubbery, maybe a vinyl, clear vinyl sheet. And I'm not 100% sure. There wasn't really directions or anything on how to use this. It's a sketchbook, but I've been appropriately using this as just a backer for my marker drawings. So as I'm going in and really coating in the marker here, you know, it doesn't bleed, but even you can see this sheet here. It is frosted, so you know, it's made to look a little blurry. It's not made not to have clear transparency through that. But even with this, there's not a lot of bleed through. I mean, a couple of these areas where marker and pen have hit have actually been. Oh, I'm sorry. a couple of these areas right here are actually because of me physically drawing on it by mistake. But not much has actually bled through, so I've been pretty satisfied with that. And like I said, I'm just kind of going through and playing around with this. Um, I don't have any specific goal as to what I'm doing. I'm just kind of taking this and working in a bunch of characters that I've liked from Saturday morning cartoons, comic books, pop culture, things like that. And I'm drawing them with no right or wrong way to go about it. I'm just kind of doing what I want to do. And yeah. Oh, did I lose camera one? Oh, there we go. No, I didn't. That's weird. My cameras are all labeled differently, so I apologize for that. Anyways, oh, now we're back. Oh, there we go. Okay, good, good. It misclicked on some things. So, anyways, that's been a new addition to the art supply artillery. Um, I'm still using my Copics and playing around with some watercolor stuff, mainly because I just really don't have an end goal here. I'm just wanting to get back into some traditional work. It does take me a little bit longer. I notice my drawing skills in this, like for example, my drawing skills here haven't really haven't really kind of taken a step back or anything. It's more or less my finishing skills, and this is something that you might probably be noticing, at least in regards to the assignments that I'm giving out there, is something that I key in on a lot with assignments like make sure that this isn't just a quick pencil sketch that you just could whip up in 5 to 10 minutes. Make sure you spend a little bit of time here developing the piece so that it is finished. A lot of times, and I think this is something that most people, when they're practicing, kind of hesitate to do or get a little bit nervous about is finishing it, because that means they have to make decisions. They have to make decisions on what material they want to finish with. They have to make decisions as to or choices as to how they want to go about finishing it. And look, I'm living proof that sometimes those decisions work out really well, and people love the work that you're doing. When I was posting these trading cards, at least through my Instagram feed, I got a lot of positive feedback on it. But as I'm posting sketches that are just a little bit larger in this little sketchbook, people are kind of shrugging their shoulders, going, "Oh, I guess that's cool," and that's fine. I'm not doing this for Instagram likes or anything like that. But that just goes to show that maybe the novelty or the work ethic that I've had in this isn't paying off. And I'll admit too, there's been a couple times where as I've been working with this, I've gotten so frustrated that I've wanted to give up and quit. And all I've done is just moved on to another sketch, or taken a step back, moved on to something else, another project, another assignment, or something like that. But that's creatively where I'm at right now, is developing this book. There's, I believe, 75 pages in here, and my goal is, at least when we get back from the school year, to have the majority of this filled up with finish character sketches and things like that. I know we're coming up. The month of June is just right around the corner, and one of the social media drawing events or challenges that I've participated in past years, June Tune is coming up, and I'm not really 100% sure if I'm gonna participate in it. I know it gets a lot of followers. It's something that's good to put out there and get a lot of feedback on, but I just don't know if I'm gonna have the time, especially considering the first couple of weeks of June. Our school year will be wrapping up, and I'm sure my focus should be more on students' grades rather than art challenges. But I might start off slowly progressing my way through. I might even just repurpose some of the drawings in here, maybe a little bit more digital, and just kind of juggle back and forth. Dog's barking. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. Like I said, I'd love to hear from you guys, see what you guys are working on. I'm sure from a creative mindset, you guys are probably having your hands tied right now because you don't know whether or not you should work on your own creative things or you should work on schoolwork. And I understand that. I appreciate that. But I'm always interested to see what you guys got out there. So send a line, or throw a comment, or an email or get in touch with us, there's the social media stuff right up there. Yeah. So yeah, this is where we're at. Got about 20 minutes left in the live stream, so I might just kind of switch over, do a little bit of live drawing for the last couple of minutes here. Take a little break from talking. I didn't really know how to go about doing this the best way possible. Um, I my students will laugh and they'll be like, "Oh, Pappas loves to talk. He's all about this stuff." But honestly, I don't. I know people don't want to tune in for an hour and watch this, but I'm not doing really this for the views or the likes or anything. I'm really just doing this to make sure that you guys have an opportunity to communicate. And with numbers sometimes being a little bit lower, I don't want YouTube to have an hour long presentation of me just talking continuously. So I figured I'd throw in a little bit of live drawing. So let's switch over to an overhead shot here. There we go, overhead shot. Now, let's see, how can I do this a little bit better so that, no. I told myself I was going to do a little bit, there we go, that's a little bit cleaner. That's a very crazy angle there, isn't it? Well, it's what we've got, and I think we're just going to have to let it work right there. I'll try to make sure I keep my head out of the camera too. I know that was it's just a really awkward. I'm not a live stream artist or anything like that, so it was just a little awkward for me to get used to it and everything. So yeah, here we go. Let's see what we got here color wise. So yeah, I'm gonna start in. Like I said, I didn't have really a rule, a reason for any of the characters that I was specifically going in there and drawing. I don't say, oh, I'm going to do this character, I'm going to do that character. It just kind of became kind of like a Saturday morning cartoon vibe. And I figured, you know what, just go with it. All I'm doing right now is just kind of very knocking down my favorite character, Soundwave. I'm just going through and lightening some of these lines. I've gotten into the habit of using some of these Prismacolor color erase pencils. Where are they? Here's a red one. And if you guys watch illustrators or animators behind the scenes, oftentimes you'll see that they draw or color with colored pencils, or what most people feel is a colored pencil. And the reason for that is because it's easier to digitally then go in and clean up and scan. And obviously, the black lines don't get so confused if you're using a regular drawing pencil and you're trying to ink over that regular drawing pencil. Sometimes it's kind of hard or difficult to choose which is this a pencil line or is this the ink line. It is a little confusing. So I jumped in, I guess, on the bandwagon with those, and I really haven't looked back. I like them. I wish they held their point a little bit better, because I feel like I'm constantly sharpening them to get a better edge. But they're just underlying marks, and not anything that I'm necessarily committing to. So I guess it's okay. So I'm just gonna come in here and try to keep my head out of the viewfinder. So usually, and this is something that I haven't done a really good job first starting out with some of these sketches. Usually I get into the mode of very quickly just passing over. And I guess you could call it doing a quick wash of color over top of my drawing. And I'm not looking to, color it in perfectly at first. I'm just trying to introduce a little bit of the liquid medium, the alcohol, to the paper so that there is, you know, pigment on there. Let's see. Earlier this week, I kind of got a little caught up with this, and I think one of the reasons why I had a little bit of a negative experience with the drawings, or at least I'll say it's a negative experience, is because I focused in coloring too much instead of just introducing the pigment. And then I found myself going back and trying to add more pigment and stuff like that. So I'm gonna get in here and just simply add some of this pigment, and then let it dry up for a little bit. And actually, I want to see, do I have, using the chisel tip right now, I want to see if I have the sketch version of this shade, which I probably don't. I thought I did, but I probably don't. It's not too big of a deal. I just like the way, oh wow. So I'll come in now and try to, with a little bit more care, add some more pigment in here. Now, the pigment's going to appear darker when it first hits the paper. And you kind of got to work fast if you don't want streaking. Because like I've shown in earlier videos or past videos, these markers work a little bit different than your traditional, you know, Crayola marker that we all grew up using. The alcohol that's used for this system is formulated a specific way so that it blends a little bit easier. So I'm just going to go in and work a little bit faster, just kind of laying in a better foundation of that color. And I don't know if it's translating. I mean, the camera's picking up the tone really well, but it's oversaturating certain parts. In real life, some of these parts aren't as saturated. So I'm going to kind of move on to the other side to this. Got a nice red that I really like using. Oh, I also like knocking things over. Apparently, let's see. I'm gonna test out these. And like I said earlier, you know, it's not really a great idea to just rely on the colors of the plastic caps, because they're not really always very forthright in this. But I've got a couple reds that I kind of memorize are values that I like a little bit more than others. I'm gonna just test these out on another piece of paper here. Yeah, see, one of these is a little bit too orange. Number R, or I'm sorry, R17, a little bit too orange for my liking. So I'm just gonna set that off to the side. And just the same thing here. I'm gonna come in and introduce some pigment to it. Let's see. Introduce some pigment really quick. Really quick, just to lay down some of that color. Again, not really looking to finish anything here. And it looks like this marker is running out. Like I said, I have some go-to colors that are like my favorites. This being one of them, and I'm noticing this one's running out a little bit too much. So I'm going to switch over. I think this one's brand new. Come in here and just introduce a little bit. Now, I will say, you know, I am trying to take a little bit of care over some of the edges. And I haven't really figured out if I'm going to ink these with black marker. I really enjoy pen and ink style. I like the contrast. I've always been drawn to it. Some of my favorite illustrators and artists that I follow or that I've grown up following liking buying their work, buying their stories, are pen and ink artists by nature. Um, you know, I haven't really figured out if that's going to be my end game here, if I'm going to go that route. But you know, my steps sort of are all the same regardless. I'm going to introduce some pigment in here, and then clean this up with a second coat. Now again, the camera actually picks up the red a little bit better. I am still seeing some streaks on the paper, and every once in a while when I look up, I'm seeing some of those streaks as well. But for the most part, it's filling in and blending really well. Again, because the paper absorbs the ink so fast, you do kind of have to work with a little sense of urgency here. But I don't want to oversaturate it and then get, you know, a really, really dark color. I'm going to continue down here because this was going to be some of his costume as well. I'm getting a little bit more comfortable doing live drawing. I will say though, it is like something that I don't think I've ever gotten used to talking while I'm working. But excuse me, it is something that I'm getting a little bit more accustomed to. All right, so that's filled in pretty well. I think I'm gonna go, regardless if I ink this with black ink or not, I will go over the hair and the eyebrows and some of these other lines with a darker pencil. I'm sorry, a darker ink. So I'm not really worried about what that looks like right now. I'm gonna work on the background. Backgrounds have always been my Achilles heel, and I'll tell anybody who listens, anybody in my classes, um, backgrounds are really, really tough to not only master but to work through. You know, I think a lot of people spend so much time there on the drawing that the background ends up kind of getting forgotten about. Oh no, and the colors that I want are not here right now. Oh wait, maybe they are. Maybe they are. Yeah, they are. Okay, sorry, I got really, really nervous and then really excited. I went through a whole bunch of emotion just now. And I just took you guys for a ride there too. The other thing is, I am still drawing. You can see, like, I've got this little piece of vinyl or vellum or whatever it is underneath. There's absolutely no bleed through on this. And if you guys want to check out the paper, I mean, the marker's getting saturated in there. So I believe when they say that this is, you know, 120 pounds. But just to be sure, I keep that backer there anyways. So let's go in. I'm gonna saturate this. This looks a little darker than I remember. It looks a little darker because it's dried out. It's completely dried out. Do I have a refill for that? What the heck is going on? I do have a refill. I don't know if I'll refill it live. Maybe I will. Hold on, let's see. Can I do it? Oh, this is good. This is good streaming for everyone. This is getting views. If you've ever refilled one of these things, you know the pain that I'm about to document here. So oh boy. Let's go through this. So this is a method, I mean, I don't know if I recommend it, but it's a method that's worked for me. It's just, you know, a little tedious. That's just simply soaking the marker with drops of the ink. Oh boy. It doesn't make for a great live stream, but you know, now that I think of this, I think I purposely set this one aside to recharge, and then I never did. Shame on me. Usually I wear gloves with this too, but it seems to be working out pretty well. Now, this is sort of a, I don't want to say a technique, but this is something that usually takes me a good 15, 20 minutes, and I don't have that. So I'm just going to cap that for now and let some of the ink. Soundwave, can you hold that for me? Be a good Decepticon. I'm going to let that sit for a little bit. Let's see. The other color that I was going to go in with was a slightly darker color, and I'm willing to bet that this one probably is dried up too from the last time I used it. No, we are charged and good to go. So, well, I don't know if I really want to use this because it's a little bit darker than what I wanted. I don't think that's enough time for it to. It's pretty good. I really should give it a little bit more time here. Well, we've only got a couple minutes left, so I will maybe put this on pause. You guys can always check back in, see where we go with this. I'll put this on pause for the next couple of minutes. Oh boy, there we go. Great. Probably shouldn't be doing this with my mouth and shouldn't be doing this while talking, but I think I can manage here. I think this will all work out in the end. Again, those of you guys that are tuning in, those of you guys that watch this after the fact, every Friday I'll be here. Every Friday I'll be streaming. And I think I'm in kind of talks right now about continuing the stream into the summertime. I don't want to take too much time away from my family, but I do enjoy doing this, reaching out to you guys, getting feedback and stuff like that. So we'll see where this heads once school is done. But at least for the next couple of weeks, I'll be available. Assignments are now active. They're out there for you guys. So tune into or check in with the Google Classrooms, and make sure. Oh no, there's the leak. There's the leak. Oh, we did it. Check into the Google Classrooms. Make sure that you guys get the necessary attachments that you need. And if you've got any questions, please give me that feedback in a timely manner. And again, be patient with me. Like I said, you guys are doing a ton of work. It seems like in the late night, early morning time, and that's not when I'm awake. So just bear with me. Give me an opportunity to get some time. I've got ink all over me right now. So I'm going to sign off. I'm going to bid you guys farewell. Good luck this week. I hope you guys are staying safe. Thanks for tuning in. Social media, all up there. Give it a check out, follow, a like, a comment, whatever. And I will see you guys next week. Take care, guys.